Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Last Wrestling Podcast, because if I have a wrestling podcast, everybody else in the world does too. The concept is dead. Let's move on. Tonight, we're going to be talking about AEW Fight for the Fallen. The third episode of AEW Dynamite in a row would be given a special name in order to make it look like a pay-per-view, and it is not in fact a pay-per-view because 2020. Now, I know I'm about a day late on this video, but I have managed to remain spoiler-free as to the outcome of this show, and therefore I'm able to maintain my live-ish review format. And last thing before we get started, this is a charity show, and as a result, we'll receive an automatic one-letter grade bonus to its final grade for the evening, so please keep that in mind as we proceed. Looks like we're starting off with a championship match. This seems to be a thing AEW is doing a lot lately, is start with the title match to counter-program NXT, and it's going to be Cody defending the TNT, I keep trying to not say TNA, the TNT Championship against Sonny Kiss, and this is a match that is going to piss off people that I like seeing pissed off. If you got a problem with someone like Sonny Kiss, just admit it, you're jealous of that ass, and you should be. Okay, not predicting a title change here because Cody is Cody, but I want Sonny Kiss to look as good as possible here. Again, just to piss off the people I like seeing pissed off. Actually, I kind of like to see a title change, but I just don't think we're going to. I love a good customized entrance for a big match. I think it adds to the spectacle and the storytelling. And if you're being basically funded by an NFL team that's off-season for right now, why not use the cheerleaders? I absolutely loved that. More of this, please. Story of this match was really good, actually. The story was that Cody was making mental mistakes. That Cody was his head was not in the game, to the point that at least at one point Arn Anderson told the champ, hey, get your head out of your ass and win the match. And they did a good job of giving Sonny Kiss a lot of offense, chance to show what he can do, but a lot of this AEW TNT Championship run of Cody's has been give the wrestler in question the opportunity to show what they can do, be the blank canvas on which they can show off their moves, and then hit them with the crossroads and win. And that is exactly what happened in this match. A rather unhappy Arn Anderson watches on, as does a very well-masked Tully Blanchard. Speaking of which, most of the wrestlers in the front row area, the sound makers, are wearing masks, as they should be. The announce team is still not wearing masks. And they are not socially distant. They're still crammed into that table. New Japan has shown you how to do this. Start doing it. There were a few unmasked wrestlers in the crowd as well. I saw specifically MJF and Wardlow were not wearing masks. Shame on them. And there were a few people who were, I guess, the friends and family in the crowd that were not wearing masks. And speaking of the announcers one more time, I can understand them not wearing masks. The New Japan guys didn't either, except for Liger, but that's a completely different mask. But, again, you're that close together, don't be stupid about this. Meanwhile, back at our story, Sonny Kiss and Cody share a hug and an acknowledgement of a match well fought, and the fact that Cody was being a little bit heelish, at least from the stuff JR was telling us, that was kind of washed away with the victory. So Cody still the TNT champion. Up next, an awesome-looking tag team match is going to be the Lucha Brothers, Cero Miedo, versus FTR, whatever that's going to stand for this week. And this is going to be, I think, a big test for FTR, because their characters right now revolve entirely around how they are a contrast to other wrestlers. They are a contrast to the Young Bucks, and now to the Lucha Brothers. So you've got old-school American wrestling versus, in this case, Lucha Libre. The question is, can FTR, and I still can't remember their porn star names, can FTR act as a contrast to somebody other than the Young Bucks? We're about to find out. Fuckity, 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 fuck you! Okay, FTR now firmly and, as far as I'm concerned, permanently on the Rudo side of things, heels for life. Or at least heels for until they do something to earn babyface status. Okay, this was actually a pretty good match where both teams were doing their kind of wrestling, and it was a back and forth which type of wrestling is better, until one of the FTR guys decided it would be a good idea to remove Phoenix's mask. You pile of shit. Yeah, in Mexico, in Chikara, that would have been a mandatory, immediate disqualification, booed out of the effing building situation. But it's America, and Americans are kind of assholes. So they just, oh, that's a horrible thing to do. It's a big distraction. So, well, it's very, very clever of FTR to take advantage of the rules. And by the way, if that's the story we're going with, there needs to be an immediate rule patch by Tony Khan or somebody. Or this is just ridiculous. This is obscene. The plot continues as the Young Bucks attack Butcher and the Blade to retrieve the keys to FTR's truck, which they return to them. Kenny Omega offers them a beer as an apology, a make good. They pour the beer over Kenny Omega's head because, as established very well tonight, FTR are a couple of a-holes. Up next, according to the promotion material, Le former champion Chris Jericho has something to say. Who wrote that? Seriously, I want to know who wrote that, and I want it to not be Chris Jericho because I really like the guy. Okay, Jericho comes out, he cuts a promo on WWE explaining how while NXT has more viewers, AEW is better in the demo, and therefore Jericho is the demo god. That's not going to get annoying in about 5 minutes. And then he talks about Orange Cassidy for a while and does one of the oldest and I think most played out heel promos in history. Hey, do you want to see a rematch? I know Cassidy wants to see a rematch. I know the network wants to see a rematch. I know the sponsors want to see a rematch. Do you want to see the rematch? You do? You do? Well, you're not getting it. I hate that. That's dumb. You can see that coming a mile away if you know the character's a heel. And Jericho is a heel. We all know this. This is silly. Anyway, Orange Cassidy comes out, gives his thumbs up, and then apparently he knows who Batista is because he then gives the thumbs down, which is a cue to drop a whole bunch of orange juice on the inner circle, Nickelodeon / you can't do that on television slime style. I really hope somebody's going to change that ring canvas before the next match because that's not safe. Okay, seriously, folks, well, this was a pretty cool visual, at least, of watching Jericho get doused in what I'm pretty sure was not real orange juice. And he's going to be fun listening to on commentary for the rest of the night. This just fell flat for me. This was not much. Both of the major punchlines, one of them you could see coming a mile away, and the other a few hundred meters away. So, yeah, just not a good segment top to bottom. But don't worry, it gets worse. We go backstage, and Marco Stunt is interviewed and is laughing about this scene with Jericho getting doused in orange juice. And this is the first time I've ever heard Marco Stunt speak. And I wish I hadn't. Okay, yes, Marco Stunt is short. Marco Stunt is skinny. But I've always thought the comparisons of Marco Stunt to a 12-year-old were just plain not fair. This is a grown adult. This is a professional wrestler. This is an unusual character, an unusual body type for wrestling. But 12-year-old was a little bit ridiculous. Until today! Wow, does Marco Stunt sound like a 12-year-old boy? Or possibly a 14-year-old girl. Well, I'm not entirely sure at this point. A boy and his dinosaur and his girlfriend from 6th grade take on the Elite in a trios match coming up next. And, this has not been good. Before I get to the actual match, thank you Excalibur for reminding me that the orange juice thing was the second dousing of the show. Who approved that? Who decided we're going to douse liquid over a wrestler right before we douse more liquid over another wrestler? I've said it before, I'll say it again. AEW needs an editor. As for the actual match, it was fun. This was a good, high-octane, six-man tag trios match, and I really enjoyed it. However, the highlight was obviously what you're looking at right now, an alley-oop Tower of Doom destroyer from all three members of Jurassic Express to Ann Jackson. And yeah, I've never seen that before. Jericho says he's never seen that before. I believe him. I don't think anyone's ever done that before. And it looked good. In fact, throughout this match, Marco's stunt was made to look better than he probably should have been. I love the idea that he's used as a human weapon by his partners. That's good. That's believable. I like that he's fast. I like that he's essentially min-maxed on speed, that he is faster than everyone who's bigger than strong and stronger than him. So that's a good way to portray that character if you want to have him be someone who hits offensive moves, but you try to avoid making it look completely unbelievable. I think they're trying to strike a balance with Marco's stunt, and they're pretty close to getting there. In the end, Omega defeats Stunt with the one-winged angel, Katayoko no Tenshi, and then proceeds to continue to beat up Marco Stunt after the match because he nearly killed one of his friends, as you can see right here, by dropping him on his head from a ridiculous height. Jurassic Express does not take this very well, but they end without, the segment ends without too much of an explosion between these two teams. We then go backstage to Joshi champion Hikaru Shida, who makes a brilliant, chef's kiss, promo in English. Her English is so... I teach English in Japan for a living. And yes, Shida has a bit of an accent. But her vocabulary, her grammar, and generally her pronunciation are brilliant. I would be honored to have her as one of my students. She is amazing. The idea of a rematch with Nyla Rose is brought up since the other four members of the top five in the women's division are unable to compete for storyline and real-life reasons. Shida then declares an open challenge, says, if you have the passion, if you think you're strong enough, good enough, passionate enough, come and fight me, I'll be waiting. Love it. Brilliant. They need a deeper women's division, as they're about to demonstrate, so go with that. The champion of the men's division gets some promo time next. He doesn't get the locker room interview. He has to go stand outside. And he talks about basically how pissed off he is about a wide variety of things. And notice how he's holding the belt and rather conspicuously showing off his wedding ring. Yeah, his old boss exposed his wife to coronavirus, forcing him to stay home for 2 weeks, and now he's going to take all of that aggression out on Brian Cage, standard promo for the upcoming championship match. Up next, the Nightmare Sisters win a squash match to introduce their dynamic to the Dynamite-only viewers. I've seen them on AEW Dark. Frankly, I'm not a big fan of this particular part of the program, so skip. Nyla Rose makes an announcement coming up next, presumably about her new manager. Let's see who it is. First of all, Flame 9118, if you are listening to this, you were right. It is Vicky Guerrero. Comes out with a wonderful sort of in the music, I love the music here, a dubstep, excuse me, excuse me, which I don't know why that makes me laugh, but it really does. Vicky makes a clear statement to all the women in the locker room, ladies, you do not have what it takes to cheat to win, which prompts the automatic Eddie chant, and the lots of maniacal laughter. Nyla Rose will take every opportunity you ever dreamed of, and I really hope they're not playing into certain real-life controversies that shouldn't be controversies because people are assholes. Okay, moving on. Time now for... We get a quick rundown of what's going to happen on AEW next week, and it is already time for the main event for the World's Championship. I am looking forward to this. The FTW Champion versus the AEW Champion, with only the AEW title on the line. While I completely understand that Brian Cage is someone you could definitely put the top title on and run with, yeah, former holder of the Aztec Gold, current holder of the FTW title, fair enough, but I am not predicting a title change here. I think Moxley is going to win this and take a lot of damage in the process. Let's see if I'm right. Oh, so that's how they're getting out of this. Okay, Taz throws in the towel to save the arm of Cage. Moxley had said he was going to go after the injured bicep, the previously surgically repaired bicep of Cage, and he did. This was a match that, even though it had the standard Death Rider, John Moxley kind of icky bullshit, it showed that John Moxley knows wrestling holds. This is good. This is lovely. Show that this is a well-rounded character that doesn't have his, 5 outside the ring spots of doom. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, AEW. And this actually... Now, they've done this a couple of times now, and they've established that within the AEW continuity, that throwing in the towel, that means somebody else quit for you. You didn't quit. Yeah, when MJF threw in the towel for Cody, Cody didn't lose his AEW title match with Jericho. MJF screwed him. Cage, by that same logic, did not lose his title match to Moxley. You've now established this top-tier monster heel, and you've also found a way to not switch the title in front of nobody, and I think this is good. I think this wasn't the time to pull the trigger on the title change, so I think this is a very clever way to get away with this. However, they're going to have to be careful not to go to the throw-in-the-towel cop-out, the throw-in-the-towel finish so often that it becomes a cop-out. But for tonight, good move. I liked it. Good finish to a pretty good match. Now, my initial worry was that Cage was going to turn on Taz after the throw-in-the-towel situation, which would be a bad idea to break up that combo since it's such a good combination right now. But he didn't. He instead grabbed the FTW title and title-shotted John Moxley with it. Cool. Reestablish your heat. Like that. Though I don't like the fact that he was holding up the belt with both hands. I think he should have been selling that his left arm was a bit more damaged than it was, if it was damaged enough that Taz felt he had to throw in the towel. And then the lights go out because somebody picked up their Undertaker coupon at catering or something, I guess. They've never established who has lights out powers and who doesn't in AEW, and I don't like that. But a wild Darby Allin appears. Okay, he goes after Cage, so that's going to be the next feud, is Cage beating the crap out of Darby Allin, which does make sense. In storyline, it was Cage that initially injured Allin at or immediately after the Casino ladder match. So, good continuity here. And now John Moxley is off in the wilderness looking for his next challenger. And taking a look at the AEW Top 5 rankings. Now, granted, this is from before Fight for the Fallen. They haven't been updated yet, so not sure what that's going to mean. But the next challenger, the current number 2 contender after Brian Cage, who lost his match, is MJF, who is 7-0 in 2020, 12-2 overall, and has never been pinned or submitted. Do they want to feed that to Moxley? Do they want to feed that streak to Moxley, or do they want to put the title on MJF? They could do that. Could excuse why he has to eventually get rid of the Dynamite Diamond. That's going to be fun. We'll see how things happen in AEW going forward. Final thoughts. This was not a show they were planning on doing, obviously, because of the John Moxley situation. Up yours, Vince. But I think this turned out more good than bad. The title matches, both of them, were good. I'm not sure where Sonny Kiss goes from here. I'm not sure where Cody goes from here, aside from the next challenger of the week, which was announced that there will be another title defense next week, just not against... we don't know who it's going to be against. As for the main event, I love the idea of Brian Cage with Taz versus Darby Allin. There's a lot of good stuff they could do there. Taz is fun. Taz and Cage have actually been the highlight of AEW for the last several weeks for me. Moxley, again, if we're going off of the win-loss, if we're going off to the, not the win-loss records, the best 5, top 5, then MJF, that's a heck of a feud. I love that idea as well. Perfect contrast of characters. The trios match was probably the match of the night for me. Great action, an actual spot I've never seen before in my life, and good character work mixed with decent athleticism. And if we could, maybe find a character for Kenny Omega at some point in the near future, that would be very nice as well. The tag team match with the Lucha Brothers and FTR was, again, it was good, but they don't seem to know what they've got here, and that's looks like it's going to be a problem with FTR going forward, is they don't realize what they're working with. And the Nightmare Sisters sucked. It's not a good act. Neither of these two are particularly good in the ring. We still don't know why what's her name is no longer the bunny, and Brandy is Brandy, and squash matches on what is supposed to be essentially a pay-per-view are not necessarily a good thing. If you had extra time, give that time to one of the title matches. Give that time to the tag team match. Give that time to anything else. Also, the Nickelodeon stuff with Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho, we did not need that. Both of these guys are better than this, so please be better than this with both of these guys. Thank you very much. All in all, there was a little bit of stuff that was garbage. There was a little bit of stuff that was really good. There was a whole lot of stuff that was on the upper end of the middle. So, final grade, and remember they do get a full one-letter grade bonus because this is a charity show. The final grade for AEW Fight for the Fallen 2 or Fight for the Fallen 2020 is an A-. Okay, I'm not going to be covering AEW every single week. I probably will be watching, but I'm not going to be doing videos on it. But for AEW, we'll see you at their next pay-per-view. Thank you very much for listening and very much for watching. Please hit subscribe, like, share, ring the bell, whatever. I would very much appreciate that. But for right now, this has been the Last Wrestling Podcast. I'm Ryu Sensei. Catchphrase sign off.